Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Y.A.R.P 91. And today we're talking about The Descent. A bit of a departure because I had a different idea of something we were going to do today, but thanks to our granddaddies and overlords, or whatever you want to call them, EFAT, they had a very interesting guest on their latest EFAT mini. If you're not aware, basically there's this channel called EFAT, and they do these little mini recordings where they watch movies and put commentary over it, quote unquote commentary. They're just being funny over like silly movies. But in their latest release, they actually had the director, which fuck, I'm blanking on his name. What's his name?
Neil Marshall.
There you
Uh,
go.
Something Marshall. Yeah. Neil Marshall. He was the director of
The
he was the
Descent.
director of The Descent, and he was director of a couple other things. One particular that I really appreciate was Black Sails. Out of curiosity, have you guys seen that show?
You.
No.
I saw like the first episode or something. I said, "Oh wow, that looks good," and then I never watched it.
That's fair. It's kind of like it's kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean meets Game of Thrones kind of deal, where it's like it is pirate material, but is very like mature for like what it is. You know what I mean? It's not exactly a kid's story, even
Yeah,
though
it's the
it's
live
like
action One Piece.
yeah, even though it's kind of like a prequel to Treasure Island. That's like all the characters in Black Sails are the characters from Treasure Island. But anyway, he directed that, and I fucking love that show. And I feel like anybody who's seen it can always recommend that it's really good. I didn't know that he also directed The Descent, and that EFAT Movies was talking about The Descent. And I said, you know what? It's a horror movie. I'm probably never gonna ever watch it because it's a horror movie, and I'm a pussy, and we all know this. So I decided to watch it. But after sitting there and watching him talk about like the production and all of the finite things that go into making the movie and all of his inspirations for making the movie, it actually fascinated me from a movie making standpoint to actually see the movie itself. So I got about 20 minutes into the thing, which if you guys know, that's like not even part of the EFAP. But yeah, I told the guys and they were all kind of shocked that I recommended a scurry movie. But sure enough, yeah, I wanted to watch it. And yeah, it scared me, and I had to change my pants twice during the movie. But I feel like it was a very solid watch. There are some issues here and there that I feel like we can get into, but as we talk about it, but overall, like first impressions, it was pretty fucking great.
Even though you were
Um,
only looking at it through like the hands over your eyes, like
yeah, well, I mean, I had a game playing. I was like in my bathroom behind the door, like kind of thing, with the light turned on in there. So like I
Subway
wasn't.
Surfers in the corner.
It's
Family
just
Guy episode reruns in the other corner.
yep, fucking Zach Hadel just whispering sweet, sweet nothings into the corner. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I just all the distractions, and still, it scared me. But the I still had a very, I guess, quote unquote, good time with the movie. If that makes sense. I feel like that's a weird thing to say about a horror movie, and especially particularly
I
this one.
mean, people
Like,
do like horror movies. They do enjoy them. It's just you enjoy them for very different reasons.
I guess, but like, fuck, I don't generally find entertainment in horror movies because they scare me.
I like watching a horror movie every once in a while, but I don't I don't like casually watch them as if I watch like an Arnold movie or something.
Yeah, but Ninja, you're our resident horror man. What do you think?
Yes. It's one of the better ones.
I
Like
was
I
talking
was
about like
telling
the
you.
I was just talking about the genre in general at this point
Oh, you know,
because
it's
you
a
like
love-hate
horror.
thing. I really love quality horror movies. It's just it feels like, especially in the modern horror genre, we have become so fucking reliant on jump scares. And to me, that is like the fart and dick jokes equivalent to comedy, like
Yeah,
it's very lowbrow horror. Like, yeah, jump scares get everyone because it's almost like a reflex. You don't really have a choice
Yeah,
on whether a jump scare is going to get you.
it's just your nervous system doing its thing.
It's literally your nervous system responding to a abundance of fucking stimuli.
yeah.
That's it.
Like
And so it's
everybody.
like, I can excuse one or two, especially if they're like clever or well done. But when it's just like back to back to back jump scares the whole movie, I'm like, this is shit.
Mhm. And that's the thing. That could actually like lead into the first topic because like I had the thought because like I said, I'm very neophyte in terms of like how horror movies are done. Um, what is technically a jump scare and what is technically not? Like, is there a term for not a jump scare?
I think the non jump scares are just referred to as scares, but it depends on if you're talking about like a legitimate like fright or if you're talking about just like a gore shot or something.
Well, I was
We
actually
actually
about
have
to.
examples to
Well,
pull from the movie on this one.
Yeah.
Like, okay, one of my favorite scenes in this movie, and one of the ones I think is actually most important for what it does, is the chasm scene, where all of the girls are there together. They just realize they've been trapped. They have to cross this huge fucking gap, and then you have that one girl who's going over it in just her hands, and she has to set up the line.
Mhm.
Any moment where like she like fucking slips on something, and your fucking arsehole clenches,
Yeah.
that's just a regular straight up fucking scary tense moment.
Yeah, that I would consider that like tension, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's
yeah,
not a
it's
jump
the
scare, but it is like an instant like shock reflex moment in an otherwise very tense scene.
Mhm.
Whereas whenever the albinos jump out at you and there's like a big fucking screech, yeah, that's a jump scare.
the albinos, is that what we're gonna call them?
Yeah, pretty
well,
much.
They don't have another name.
I
Jim. I don't know what
think
to call them.
I
I
think they're
don't.
called the cave
I
dwellers in
I
like a
think
meta sense.
actually to bring back to the E.F.A.P thing, I think he actually called them crawlers, but it
But
is
that's
not.
stupid.
I know
That's
it
like
is not. I
2% of what they do.
I know, but
I was
like
gonna
I know, but I'm just telling you that like it's not technically labeled in the movie, so like it's that's just
Yeah,
what the director said.
that's why
Like
I
it's
call
like
I
when
them
like
the
it's like
cave
when
albinos better.
dwellers.
yeah, I like albinos better too because like fuck there's a
I
hidden
mean,
gem about this there's a hidden through line about
I
this movie
mean,
which we'll talk about.
cave dwellers actually makes more sense.
I mean, we could just call them what they are, which is profoundly disabled.
Yeah,
Eh,
exactly.
Oh no.
Technically,
Yeah,
what do you think about it?
Bunch of handicapables.
it's like
Well,
they can't like walk upright. Their legs are all weirdly out of shape.
you can't see.
They have a severe skin condition, and
they're
they can't
literally
see.
blind. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
literally
they are
blind.
actually profoundly disabled.
Yeah, it's a very it's a very interesting thing that I'll hope that my nightmares will allow me to put in for later tonight. But
Yeah,
Now,
whenever they're screeching and chasing you down a hallway or
like,
whatever, just
oh, but
imagine them in a wheelchair.
yeah. I don't know, man. If you played Mortal Kombat, Kodokan in the wheelchair is a powerful force. But anyway, um, what were you? Okay, so and here's the thing, like how I don't know how to phrase this because obviously and even the fucking director admitted this because I stopped the recording of that EFAP right when he was done talking about the cabin scene. And like he was talking about how like the cabin was like something they had to rent at the time and all that shit. And he quote unquote inserted a jump scare at that point because he was basically told by his producers that like not a lot has happened and doesn't feel like a horror movie yet. So he
those
kind
people
of
can
put that in there
Yeah,
to keep people on
those
their
people can fuck
toes.
off.
Yeah, those people could fuck off.
producers are fucking stupid.
Yeah, I think we could fucking completely agree that like producers suck. But
Cause, like that's why I made the joke of like anytime anything happened, it was the clip from The Mask where his skull just comes out of his head.
yeah, that was me. But so yeah, there was a so that is a jump scare. The
Yeah,
window
that's a
Oh, absolutely.
when she's looking at the
Yeah.
window, there's literally nothing going on, and all of a sudden the fucking rod that killed her husband and daughter just fucking blasted through the window.
Yeah.
And
And
it doesn't really serve any purpose. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to be generous to it, it just kind of hammers in how that and all of the trauma of it is still very much a thing that's on her mind regularly. Like it's the first thing she thinks of waking up is the worst thing that's ever happened to her
yeah, and
so
to be
far.
fair, it's a very traumatic moment
yeah to the point.
from a lore wise, but meta wise, like
That gets
we
even worse later.
yeah. So that's the thing is like I want to talk about what the difference is because the first time we see a crawler is like it's in the distance, crouched over, whatever, right? Or albino, sorry. The first
Profoundly
albino,
disabled.
profoundly disabled albino individuals. God, it sounds like a fucking PC bullshit.
Yeah,
Like
that's why. That's why I was just calling
offended me.
cave dweller because it's just like
Okay,
you like
we get the
eventually.
idea. We're gonna call it fucking
I
different
think
thing.
they prefer to be called people of disability.
Disability. feel like they prefer to
Pods.
be called retards. But anyway, so the first time we see the thingy, we see it in distance, and like homegirl is like not even sure if that's what she's seeing. She's like, oh, what the fuck, whatever. The second time we see it, is that a jump scare? Because
Technically, yes.
it is.
Yes.
But here's the
It's
thing:
like
just
so for
because it's a
setup,
jump scare doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah,
No,
for
no,
setup,
no.
for setup. Let me set it up first, because like they see the thing, they hear it running around them, and then like she's slowly panning the camera around, and like just as soon as like the light touches it, you get this 1 second of it sitting there, and then it like attacks.
It gives all the other signals of a jump scare. The loud sound.
But it does the loud sound after you see the thing. Does that make sense? Like
yeah,
a
but
jump scare is like boom. This one is very like slow. If that makes sense.
so okay, yes, but it's what that is officially referred to as a stinger, an audio stinger, and that is still very much present. Now, like Slur was saying, it is a jump scare, but it's an example of one of the better or more
Yeah,
like
it's an
clever
effective
and
one.
passable one.
Yeah,
Like, it makes a lot more sense.
And you agree with that statement, right? You're basically saying that.
What?
Ninja, you agree with that, right? Like saying it's a better quote unquote.
Oh,
jump scare.
absolutely! It's
Yeah,
one of the
that's
best
one of the
jump
good
scares
ones.
in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a shocking introduction to what the monsters are, because
Mhm.
you get to see them, but not really, not enough to fully make them out, and then they're a problem.
Yeah. And here's the thing: I gotta do this because we are the fucking nitpicking. We gotta make sure we're looking at media. Um, there is a thing that I fucking despise in pretty much all zombie media. It's the idea of ninja zombies, that they're only there to be silent and then to kill off a character. I believe that crawler in that moment was being a ninja.
A little bit. I mean, the
He was
idea was
standing
in
there, like you know what I mean?
yeah, but here's the thing. You have to remember when she's panning the camera, she has the night vision on. It's
Mhm.
basically pitch black. They can't see. So it essentially sneaks up on them in the dark. So yeah, you could say it's still being a little bit ninja, but it's not as egregious as like a zombie that literally pops out of nowhere. It
Pops up.
basically moved up on them in the dark. So the only reason she was able to see it at all was because of the camera. We're literally viewing her perspective from the night vision camera.
Okay.
Also, they just are quiet, except when they're trying to find something when they make the clicky noise.
Mhm.
Yeah, like they compare them to bats. It's so they're not doing it all the time.
I guess. Like I don't know. It
Did
just
I mean, did it bother you? I mean, is that
a little bit because it was just like the fact that it was like just standing there, and we've already talked about how these things are disabled. Like,
honestly the one that bothers me more than that?
there's another
To
one. Yeah, so go ahead,
Yeah,
take it.
the one where it's I think it's Sam and Becca are
Oh,
in one of the tunnels and they're kind of moving around or whatever. And then like as they're going through the tunnel, it kind of pans up and to the left, and you see that there was one of them literally like holding itself up against the wall slash ceiling. So it was basically right fucking next to them, but it didn't act on it at all. Like it was just there. Like why would it do that? You know like I could kind of understand it wanting to get closer to these things that it doesn't necessarily recognize and investigate and be like, what are these? What is this? Is it food? But to literally like stalk them like that just seemed a little odd.
so I actually have a different example I was thinking of.
Oh.
Um, the one that kills Hanger Girl.
Yep.
So we talked about this in the preamble. I like. I'll admit I'm basically a handicapped individual where I have a problem with remembering names. But there's a point where like there are four girls who are indistinguishable in the dark because of their outfits, their hairstyle, and everything.
I
Um,
believe the one you're referring to is Sam because she's the one that had like the medical training.
I think so, but she was the one who was the hanger before.
Well, no. So the first time they go across the chasm, it's Rebecca. The second time she goes across the chasm where she interacts with the monster and ends up getting killed is Sam.
Okay. Okay. All right. And she's the one who had the mess up hand because of the of Juno falling. she was trying to stop her. So she
Uh,
fucking did
Yeah.
I was going to say rope burn.
that.
It's not pretty.
Yeah, that little bit right there, cave dwelling and all this bullshit. It's terrible. It's stupid. It's dumb white people shit. What the fuck are you doing that shit? It's terrible. It's dangerous. It's stupid. Like you could die for like no reason. Like there's a point before the monsters show up where this is legit a tense movie. Like fuck. Like they could all die in
Oh
the
yeah,
drop of the
like
hat.
the cave in was like
Like the cave in
really
was fucked.
good.
And then like the whole thing of like, oh, we're running out of rope, and it's like, and then fucking Holly being an idiot running forward. It's like, dude, oh my god, there's a movie there just on like the fright of like cave dwelling. Like, what's that movie with James Franco where he gets his arm stuck?
Oh, 36 hours or something.
No, it's not 36. I think
It's 127
127.
hours.
Oh.
127. Yeah, it's 5 days of nonsense. But
Yeah.
I was talking with Sarah for like a split second. I was like, yeah, you ever had the sound of like a leg being broken right in your ear? That's what
It's
just
not great.
happened.
Yeah, and like, and the whole point, like, I legit, like, I don't do blood, and gore. You know, it's kind of ironic that I'm a Mortal Kombat and fucking Warframe fan, but I don't do blood and gore like well. And so, like, that whole fucking scene of them pushing the bone in was just like me, like, in my fucking pillowcase, like, not looking at the fucking movie.
It's
Straight up.
interesting you make that comparison though, because that's why the chasm scene, I think, A, is so fucking good, and B, is so fucking important for setting up everything about how the movie's gonna work.
Yeah.
Because it is different. It is before there's any monster, before there's any supernatural bullshit, it's just these people in this situation. The fact that it's already tense because it actually takes the time in the movie to show you the boring part. It just lets you sit with just how much of a fucking ordeal it is to just get across a gap. That's it. You spend like a solid, I think it's like 5, nearly 10 minutes of just watching them get across a gap in the cave.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it is incredibly fucking good and tense. And you legitimately can't quite tell because the way it's set up, one of these bitches could die at any moment.
Mhm.
And then it's like you're just waiting for that one thing to go wrong the whole time. It's a really, really good scene. But the detail, watching her hang from like two arms halfway across, needing to let go of one of the things so she can grab the thing off her belt, just how much strain she's putting on the other arm as she fucking slowly lifts it back up.
Yeah.
The whole thing, that's the level of we're gonna sit with how much of this would really actually fucking hurt that carries over into injury. So when they get across and Juno has another fucking point she wants to make, does things the hard way and ends up fucking other people over in the process
I wouldn't
again.
necessarily. Okay, there is a theme of that. I wouldn't necessarily say that the chasm crossing was necessarily quote unquote her fault
Why are you in that
because
tunnel?
Not her fault.
I'm not tunnel. Am I in
I
tunnel?
think you're a
Yeah.
little bit loud
I'm
whenever
not.
you're speaking.
Oh.
Yes.
Like this is a background stacky sound
Yeah, it's
thing.
not too
Anyway.
bad.
Oh, okay. Is it still there?
But yeah,
Am I still
it's
there?
not really that it's her fault. It's more just that like she makes it additionally difficult, and
But
the
for
injury
a,
that results. What?
I would say it's for a logical reason though.
Yeah, no, she
Well,
has a reason, and that's
it's good
still the thing.
intentions, yeah,
Yeah.
but
She's not like a
well,
mustache twirling cunt
Well,
entirely. She has reasons for doing what she does. It's just she's very clearly set up to have a pretty fundamental flaw. A, she's self-centered. B, she considers herself basically the fucking leader and the decision maker. She
mhm.
doesn't really take other people's opinions on board. And she just it's this level of boss bitch mentality that is at the expense of everyone else that leads everyone else to very justifiably A, kind of blame her, and B, not trust her,
Yeah.
which becomes super fucking important later on.
Oh, very much
Yeah,
so.
I thought we'd name it after you, me or you.
Mhm.
I thought we could name it maybe after you. It's like yeah, or maybe after
Yeah,
yourself, bitch. 'Cause
the whole reason they're in this fucked predicament is because of Juno. Like it is 100% her
they
fault.
wanted a holiday and a bonding experience, and she wanted to like make history and without consulting them,
Yeah,
without doing
that's
anything.
Yeah, without
And-
consulting
and
them,
drag-
and without even like taking the proper precautions, because like
And
they
without
all thought they were going to a different cave, so that's why they set up their
Yeah.
emergency thing for that cave.
and all
Yeah, they
while
filed a plan with the local rangers or whatever that like, hey, we're a bunch of people who like going into
Yeah, we're a
caves.
bunch of
We'll be here at
white
this
people.
time. If you don't hear from us or we don't check in, we might be stuck. Please help us. Perfectly normal, rational thing to do. And then they went to a different cave because Juno wanted to prove a point.
and also
Mhm.
brought her like even more adrenaline seeking like protege.
Which like
Yeah.
she had to
She was
reprimand
who
2
was
different times.
Yeah, it was blatantly like just not giving a fuck. How they even entered the cave is like the first example of like
Yeah, and Juno reprimands her right there. She's like, "Dude,
Yeah.
that's I get you're having fun, but like you can't do that shit. We have to follow the rules, otherwise people get hurt because you almost fucking flattened 2 fucking people."
Yeah, she's very good at enforcing rules when it comes to other people, isn't she?
A little bit. Like I said,
Yeah.
that's what
So,
the
anyway.
director was talking about, like with like the dialogue and like a kind of establishing characters. Earl
Mhm.
Mahler kind of more most so makes that point, but I feel like it does a really good job of like, even though we had a problem like identifying people in the fucking dark, I feel like it did a really good job of like establishing who every character was. You got the thrill
Yeah, what their
seeker,
basic personality and vibe were.
yeah. You got the like motherly teacher character, you have the medic, you know what I mean? Like it's all pretty much set up from like the thing. And I don't
Mhm.
know if there's any character that's hateable, because that's another thing that Neil was talking about, is that he didn't want like the jerk character that's in every single horror movie to just like, oh, I can't wait for this guy to fucking die kind of deal. He actually wanted like
Well,
Juno's pretty
I
fucking
was going to
hateable, bro.
say
Juno
Juno.
is
sh-
Juno's real hateable.
Juno is super flawed, but also when the shit hits the fan, she actually kind of walks the walk up to a point, but then in
Yeah.
a literal fucking berserker fury, she fucking immediately, pure instinct and on fear reflex, turns
Yeah.
around and just swings and plants the fucking climbing axe into the neck of one of her friends.
Out of curiosity,
Lies about it, and then because of everything that had led up to that point, it bred a lot of fucking distrust in the
Mhm.
person who got axed. So
Yeah.
out of,
it turned from, oh no, this is a horrible accident. She would never do that to me on
Then
purpose. No, she got us in this situation,
and then
fucking
you
sliced me in the neck, and then left me there. Do
Yeah.
not trust that
and
bitch.
and then you couple that with the beforehand stuff. If it turns out her husband before he died was having an affair with Juno.
yeah,
Mhm.
there's that. I do have to ask the very obvious question. What is the shape of a climbing axe?
It's
Yeah, pretty much those. It's
It's a point. Well, I'm asking about the blade itself. It's a point, and then it gets noticeably fatter, right?
yeah, it
So
has to be like quite a thick bit of it. Basically, think of like a very tiny, jagged pickaxe because it has to
e-
like if you swing it, you need to be able to ram it into like a crack of stone.
exactly. So if somebody were to say, I don't know, stabbed in the fucking neck and then had it ripped out, would that person live?
they'd be very
Not
dead.
for very long, but they would last.
Would they last that
Depending-
long?
No, they
It
wouldn't.
depends on
Come
what the
on.
thing hits because you have jugular veins in your neck. So if you see someone like take any kind of slice across the neck with a knife and they bleed out in minutes, that's why. Because of the jugular. But if you could just get stabbed through like the muscle or through your trachea, it's like you're bleeding out. Absolutely. You're not making it
Yeah,
unless you
but
get into a hospital like in a minute.
and
But
just and
you can
just
last for a couple hours,
and
maybe.
well, and just to verify during the watching, I did check. They say it's very possible for you to survive a couple of minutes, maybe even a dozen, if the knife is still left in your neck.
Yeah,
The fact that
Oof.
not only was this fucking blade, which is fat, like I want to point out the fact that it gets fatter. It's like a fucking what's the word?
yeah,
A
and with
frisbee,
the
a triangular
angle,
fucking thing. It goes through her neck. It doesn't get into it. It comes out the other side,
yeah,
and then it gets
based off
pulled
that
out.
angle, it would have to at the very least be like
Well,
just barely missing her spine.
to be fair, it's not like she made it.
She didn't, but she survived long enough to give exposition.
She did, but
The
we
fact
don't
she was
know
able
the
to speak, I
timeline.
think, is what pushes it.
That too.
Yeah.
But we
Like I said,
literally
I
don't
believe
know
she
the
could last a
timeline.
little bit.
The fucking thing said like max 3 minutes. Like, there's no way she survived that shit, dude. I'm sorry. Like
And he-
when I saw her still alive, she's like, "Don't trust Juno." I was like, "Oh, come on."
Yeah, it was-
that kind of ripped me out of the fucking movie. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, she should just.
I got a fucking two holes in my throat. I don't know, dude. Like that. I feel like that's bending the suspension of disbelief just a little bit. Ninja, you're kind of defending it. Do you think that's unfair of me to say?
Oh, now I hear it. I think you're hearing your fan.
Really?
Yeah, it's bad, dude.
Okay, let me turn my shit down. But
You sound like you're in an old TV.
hell yeah.
Okay, now you're clean. Holy shit.
I think it's a little bit harsh.
You think it's a little bit harsh?
Okay, now you actually need to get close to your mic, dude.
I know. I'm turning all my.
He's on the
fucking
other
fans
side of the
down.
room.
Yeah. All right. So you say it's a little bit harsh.
A little bit harsh, yes.
But do you think it's inaccurate? That's the main issue.
I agree it's inaccurate. I don't think it's to the point of like shattering all sense of suspension of disbelief. Like to me, it's not that big of an issue. We do not have an accurate timeline of the events that happened once the first cave dweller attacks, like, because everybody kind of splits up and goes in different directions, and it cuts to like you're following two people, then you're following one person, then you're following one person. So we don't know how long she was like that.
I will.
I agree it shouldn't be a lot, and I agree that, like, realistically, yes, as soon as the pickaxe was removed from her neck, she would probably be dead. I would have a much larger problem with it if like yeah, they kept her around to give exposition, but realistically, very, very little. Like, she didn't actually say much during that conversation with her and Sarah. Like, it was very, very limited, and even their conversation didn't last very long. And then it was literally like, "Hey, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and off me because I don't want to get eaten alive."
Yeah.
Powerful
So
moment.
yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. And it has a follow-up powerful moment when Sarah finally catches up with Juno, and she literally looks at her and says, "You saw her die?"
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
Juno
Yeah.
is like, yeah, and then she's just
Literally, bitch, I want you to say it. I want you to either fucking own up to what you are, or I want you to lie to my face so I know what I'm gonna do.
Exactly. It's I do appreciate that moment like later in the movie.
I was gonna say the thing that, like, overall I thought was a little weird actually was when they're on their way out and those cave dwellers that are just hanging out near that that little spot is almost like, hey, we knew you'd be here.
What are you talking about?
Right before when they had that big fight against the three of them.
Yeah, at the exit of the thing, because the things obviously know the way that something's gonna try to escape them because they regularly go out to hunt.
They seem like from I'm trying to think of other instances where they've sat still long enough to like really do that. They seem like the fidget. They seem like
they seem like sitting still though because they're trying to hunt them.
Well,
if
no,
they're waiting to ambush, then obviously they're going to sit still.
Well, no, the point that I was gonna make was like we've been shown previously through the movie is that they seem a very fidgety, like they can't really.
Yeah, there's that.
Where are you getting that from?
Not fidgety, but there is that one moment with the wide shot of like 6 of them. It's like, wait a minute, y'all just chilling, waiting for the fucking.
Well, okay,
Lightheaded?
keep in mind there's a few variables here you're not taking into account. Number one, we don't know how many of these things there are in the cave, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But obviously, just like, you know, any other map, like the cave has a definitive system. There's, if let's say there's 100 of these things, they're gonna be kind of sparse across the map. So there might be some chilling in a fucking cave where all the food is, because they're basically animals. You can't really think of them like humans.
Yeah.
But there do tend to be areas where they congregate, like that's where the food is, where the water is. Those big open caverns are where they're going to be. They're not going to just chill in the fucking tunnels. So when they come into the big open area, it would make sense that there would be 3, 4, 5, 6 of them there already.
Okay.
I don't know. It still feels a little ninja to me, but like I'll let it slide.
I wasn't gonna say ninja. I was gonna
I
say
mean,
like
compared to
classic
a
movie
zombie,
villain. That's what I
these
was.
things are literally zombie. Like compared
Yeah,
to a
they're
regular zombie, they are ninjas. You know.
they are kind of zombies, but yeah, I guess in like that sense they are kind of ninja, but still.
Well, I
I don't
think there's a distinction that has to come between something like a zombie that is just on autopilot trying to kill and eat versus something that is animalistic.
Yeah,
Because an
this is just
animal will be
animal.
still. An animal will wait for something. An animal is just going to try to live and eventually catch food. It's not going to just mindlessly chase,
That's true.
especially if it's already in the place where it knows food is going to be.
Yep. Okay. I'll like I said, I'll allow that. But
I do have a different problem with them, though.
Go ahead.
oh
These things, the way they work, and this is something I was thinking about as I was just watching the movie, because this is my second time watching it, and
really?
this time around I was thinking a lot more about how the profoundly disabled albinos actually work as a monster. These things supposedly regularly will leave the cave, presumably at night or whatever, hunt, bring whatever it is they hunt back to the cave so it can go down onto the pile of shit they eat and run off into the novelty gore pool that they have. How do these things hunt?
And why have they not
Like
run it?
bats.
No. That's how they hunt in the cave. Out in the
That,
wild, where everything that they're hunting is faster than them,
uh,
bigger than
yeah.
them.
but you realize that bats hunt outside of caves, right?
Well,
No,
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 no, no.
bats hunt bugs. I mean, like these things with their tool set. Because bear in mind how they fight, how they're shown to like pounce on the victims in the movie. What they do is like they lurk in the shadows and then they jump on them, grab them, and try to bite them and just rip and tear until the thing is dead, and then it can be brought to the food hole for later consumption,
Hmm.
usually in a group. They don't really have claws. They're not really that fast. They're not really that agile outside of a cave environment for which they're very specially adapted.
And I
Out
want to
in the wild,
Hold
in the
on, they do
forest,
have
how
they
is
do have
this thing hunting a
claws.
moose?
and I do
Hold
want to
on.
I do
Once
want
there's one instance where they have claws, and that's like the hanging bitch where she gets her throat ripped out. The rest of
yeah
the movie, they don't have claws.
yeah,
The
and I
rest of
was
the movie, they just
Yeah, that's
glomp onto things, and then they're like just. It's like a kid
yeah.
on your
They
back for piggyback rides. Like they don't rip and tear. All they really have is their teeth.
yeah. I didn't
and I
realize
and
that.
I was
That's
gonna
actually pretty inconsistent then.
and I was gonna make a point to like for quote unquote a defense, but actually kind of puts a hole in like I want to put it as a defense for the movie, but it actually makes your point even stronger. The idea that the women can kind of fight these things off is like they're kind of like these weird cave dwelling like monsters. They don't need a lot of food, so I can see their muscle structure not being that like strong. Plus, they need to be agile to move around. So that's kind of like I see the justification for them actually fighting off, like the women actually being able to get them off. Plus, they have weapons. But then
Yeah.
it's like, but then yeah, how the fuck did they kill? Like, I'm pretty sure it was either a wolf or a bear. But we
There's a wolf.
see yeah, so we see a fucking pretty tough predator. Granted, it could have fallen into the cave, but
Maybe
like,
If
there's
I had to
a variety
steelman
of
it,
different shit.
go ahead.
if I had to steelman it, they probably use ambush tactics. They probably
Mhm.
hunt in groups because even when we see them eat, you know, the
It's a group project.
Slaughter's right. It's they primarily use their teeth as their main source of weaponry. So it's like one bite may not kill you, but 12, 15, yeah, you're fucked. You're in trouble. So my guess is they would probably do the same thing that wolves do to take down prey. They would probably sneak up, a bunch of them jump this fucking thing that's maybe bigger than them. Because I think at one point you see like a moose in there, which if
Yeah.
you've
Well,
ever seen a moose, they're
that's
fucking
actually
huge.
the one thing that I saw that made me start on this whole train of thought. I was like,
Uh,
wait,
Well,
hang on.
I was
yeah,
going
How?
to
real
Because
quick,
say.
here's the thing:
real quick.
working like wolves,
Is everybody familiar with how big moose?
To the point that it
yeah,
can
this
fucking
thing's the
break a
size of a
car.
fucking
They're
truck.
fucking.
Yeah.
They're like literally a short bus. They're pretty fucking
So,
big.
Yeah.
so
So
here's the
I
thing, right? 2 points of comparison: wolves, they are quadrupeds. They are much faster as compared to these things, which are weirdly adapted humans. So they're kind of bipeds, kind of quadrupeds. They're crawlers. They
Yeah.
fucking They tism their way across the ground, not very energy efficient nor very fast. Second, wolves, much bigger mouths, much sharper teeth, much more
True.
powerful bite.
Agree.
Third thing, the other point of comparison is humans who actually did hunt big shit like mises and deers and y- all that kind of shit. And the way we did it was
Is by punching.
upright. Was upright.
Yeah.
Endurance chasing them. Like, even if we did just have something like a claw or a tooth, if we
Or
could
we-
get something to bleed, we would just chase it so endlessly that eventually it would either bleed or be exhausted and we would kill it.
Or
We are,
or we'd
we are
use,
actually a hard-time predator on our own.
or
But, you know,
we
that's a
would
whole other thing.
or we would just use our brains, such as like making the animal just run off a cliff.
Or
Oh, that's much later.
or
Same
we-
with like things like spears. I just want to go to like absolute primitive just to make a comparison.
well, absolute primitive. We punch them. I don't know if you saw this documentary called Baki. Yeah, we fucking Giga Chad and punched the fuck out of that T-Rex. Anyway, though,
Well,
here's another thing. Before you get into it, I do want to add this little bit of thing. If like they go out and hunt, there's a very strong chance that they've probably been killed, and that means maybe their bodies have been left. So that would actually add like even more of like, why are these things a mystery?
Yeah, I was going to say like there's no way
It's
like
there's not every hunt can be perfect.
because
Like,
how
that's
far away
insane.
are they from a road and the trail? Pretty
Literally like a
Are-
5-10 minute drive.
They seem to be very close.
Are you familiar with Appalachia?
Yeah, it's pretty rural, but like they're right next to a fucking highway, dog.
Okay, that was not a fucking highway, bro. That was
Okay.
what you call a rural route.
That was a state. It was a state road, but still, like
That's
they're
not the
pretty-
fucking interstate, is my point.
It's not an interstate, but it's a state road.
But
There's, like, a lot
there
of
had to
shit
have been
streets, a
people
lot of
that were
truck route
building
there.
that, and
Yeah.
if they've been here hundreds of years.
Well, we
like,
don't know. Well, we don't know how long they've been here.
That's just a guess. Like,
No, we do.
in the movie.
They were originally like cave people. They
yeah.
set this up earlier on in the movie where they were an offshoot branch of human evolution where most people, we all lived in caves, we made cave paintings, so did they. Most people were, you know, not albino and profoundly disabled and actually left the fucking cave. They
Mhm.
decided to stay in and play WoW for 1,000,000 years.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, Ninja. Sorry to cut you off, but
No, it's fine. I'm just
Like,
I don't
not
think
a-
it's as infeasible as people you people are making it seem. Like
because
I
here's the thing.
don't.
I'll go on that steel man with you. It's like they could have just all the fucking animals could just fell into the cave. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
a
this-
lot of them probably did. I don't get the feeling that they hunted far away from their fucking cave. Like they didn't go to the roads. They didn't go far away. They didn't need to.
Yeah.
And while honestly the wolf I find harder to believe than the fucking moose anyway, because the wolf is a nocturnal hunter for the most part. So it would be active when they're trying to hunt, whereas the moose, they could have jumped one that was not active. You know what I
Well-
mean? Like, so it's still hard to believe that they took it down, but if there was enough of them, they could theoretically overpower it.
Not to
There's
mention,
there's a part of me
wolves are
that's,
also
like, actually
pack
still
animals.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but wolves do get left alone.
Yeah.
Like
But,
if
like-
they're lame, if they're injured, the pack does leave
Yeah,
them
the
behind.
pack just leaves them.
Yeah, so there's that, but like still, like I don't know what I'd have a harder time believing them taking down a wolf or a moose. Like,
Well, here's the other thing you have to keep in mind, right? So most animals tend to develop traits that help them deal with like one or two specific predators that exist in their ecosystem.
Yeah.
I don't really think a moose would be prepared to deal with their particular level of bullshit.
they can stomp pretty fucking hard. Like,
No, You're missing what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah,
saying
okay.
if they hunt in a particular way, if they are stealthy, if they are ambushed, the moose doesn't really have an evolutionary thing to deal with that. Because
But
moose don't have good eyesight either,
Yeah,
especially in the dark.
Well,
but
I was going to
moose
say,
deal
is
with
the
wolves,
moose?
though.
But is the moose a nocturnal animal? I don't
No.
know.
No.
it's not. But like it deals with pack
the
hunting.
Mises hunt at night.
The moose. I actually feel retarded. How do you say plural moose?
I thought you just say
Moose.
It's just mooses. I'm being silly.
No, it's not. It's moose.
Is it just moose? It's
Oh,
like
it's
Pokemon.
it's the Lego thing.
Yeah,
God.
it's
Dude,
not
Legos.
mooses. It's moose.
No,
I don't want to. I don't want
plural
to
for
dwell too
Lego
much.
is Lego.
I do. I don't want to dwell too much on this, but yeah, like I feel like a moose would be okay because like it deals with wolves. Like that is its predator.
If
And
it
like,
makes you feel any better, the second one makes it that much stupider.
yeah.
Like all of these questions that you're like, oh, I don't know how this would work. It
If
fucking
we had
goes full
just,
tilt stupid.
I feel like if we had just seen the one
Mm,
inside the
I hate
cave,
it.
that would have been fine. It's the one they left behind.
Yeah.
If that was possibly them, it might have not been actually.
Mhm. Sorry, now I just can't get the fucking image of Pickle punching a fucking moose like out of my head.
Then the moose
he
just
would.
survive.
He would,
Then the moose
no,
just
he would be like
survives.
this. No, he would be like this is a fucking worthy opponent.
He
Anyway,
punches it.
I
then
kind
the
of brought this
moose
point up.
survives.
It doesn't break the movie at all. It doesn't even ruin them as monsters. It's just a little something I noticed this time round that was just kind of niggling at me in the back of my head.
And part of me,
It's
Whoa,
like,
whoa,
huh,
whoa.
yeah, whoa, chill. But yeah, no,
Wow.
a part of me did notice it in the first viewing though, but that's because I kind of like looking at things autistically. So I'll admit that it probably wouldn't be a problem with them, and that's why I was kind of like agreeing with like the women. So overall, even though we couldn't fucking see the choreography, I feel like the choreography was like fine. Like the women weren't overpowering these things. Every struggle was like fucking like well, every fight was a struggle. Like they were
Yes.
dealing with these fucking things, and I really appreciated that. How like
And it was a
Juno,
lot of simple stuff like smashing his head against a rock or like poking his eyes out. Like it wasn't.
or she fucking just straight up knees one of their balls, and I was like, that's
Yeah.
oh yeah,
actually really fucking clever. Like
fucking knees, elbows, claws, even her own teeth. She rips a piece
yeah,
Yeah,
of
she
the
ripped
face
one
off
of
of
their
that thing.
throats out.
that's a part where somebody gets bit. Yeah, it's fucking radical.
Juno is one of her most redeeming qualities, like I said earlier, is that she does walk
Oh,
the walk. That when the shit does
surprise.
hit the ultimate fan, she goes fucking Rambo mode. She goes for the kill.
Mhm.
Like sooner than anybody else, she starts fucking swinging.
When, yeah,
Almost to a fault when
a little bit of
you
a
know,
fun,
the thing happens.
a little
You know,
bit.
Yeah.
But
Beth did
but
not like that.
that yeah, she was
no.
like, I will remember
Beth
this.
will remember that briefly.
Yeah,
Yes, I
Beth will remember this, and then it just says Beth has died.
Beth has died. Everyone disliked that. No, nah, like so like besides those little nitpicks, I feel like it's still like even then it's still a pretty solid movie.
I liked the I don't know if this I liked the little detail of we see when in the feeding pit we see one of their women too. So it just show like oh yeah they are a
They
species
fork, I
that
guess.
that breeds yeah.
Yeah. I
I
was
mean,
I was
yeah.
yeah,
yeah
they have
well
to.
well I was going to say like it, just
I feel like that's
because we
always
mainly
a safe assumption, though. Even if you only dudes, like
See the
you
males
would
have-
naturally assume that there are women somewhere. We just didn't see them.
Yeah,
It's just
We-
one massive, like, white blob female one in like a big cave really far down.
it's the
Oh
queen,
no, biscuit.
and they have to fucking.
Oh, no.
Oh, she's falling on some hard times. Okay.
But yeah, like it the first fight we have with them, the fact that they established that early that the monster of our movie is something that actually can be killed,
But it's a
I
swarm.
appreciate that. Like
Yeah.
most things won't do that for obvious reasons. They want their monster to be scary. It's like, oh no, this is the thing we can't defeat. We're in so much trouble.
What was who made that point that like oh my god Wyatt, you know this, who made the point that like a swarm enemy can't be scary?
Oh, that was oh my god, it was Phil Mento.
Fomento, yeah.
Yes,
Sorry.
Oh, that
he was
oh,
quoting
yeah, I remember
that
that.
like Alien isn't as scary as like
Or
is,
aliens
Aliens isn't as scary
as-
because there's multiple of them, and it's like I'm sorry,
that
the
is
xenomorph
fucking
is like one of the
opposite
most
of
terrifying
that
things in the
movie.
world, and you add
The
more than one.
only thing in all of media that follows that rule is ninjas.
Yeah.
If there's one ninja, he's gonna be the scariest, most badass, hard to kill, incredibly lethal motherfucker you've ever seen. If there's a room with 50 ninjas, you're gonna be cutting through those like they're made of fucking cardboard.
Yeah, you're playing Dynasty Warriors at that point. Like you're just
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything else, though, more of them is just more of a fucking problem.
It's just more of a problem. It's like, oh yeah, we saw how she struggled to kill this one. It's like, oh, there are more. Great. It's-
It's
I
not just how
remember-
much she struggles to kill one, it's the fact that they're killed, it kind of grounds it. Similar to the chasm scene, where we
Mhm.
just spent a long time with the boring part, quote unquote, where you just show this is something that can be done, but we're gonna sit with how much of a fucking struggle it is. It's not that they're immortal. It's not that
Well,
there's
and
something supernatural.
they
They lose
lost
Holly.
Holly too.
They lose Holly
Yes,
really
they did,
quick.
yeah.
Like she gets fucking.
Oh yeah, well, it's a
Holly-
UK movie, so obviously the Irish died first.
Of course.
Obviously.
Oh,
But like, is that the fucking?
And
Is that the
I'm not
European
saying it's
equivalent
a
of the
race
black
thing.
people?
I'm just saying I noticed. That's all.
That's what I'm saying. But is that the the European equivalent of black people?
of the
Irish
black
people die first in the movie.
Like I said, I'm not making an equivalency. I'm just saying I noticed.
Just saying.
He's-
Fair enough. Um,
You guys just ripped a memory out of my head now that
But,
you
like,
remind me of the fucking Filmento thing.
but the fact that we see her, even though she is like, fucking fucked up, like she gets got pretty quickly. So it's like established that
And
these
then
things are
ripped
actually
to
really
pieces.
dangerous. Well, later, but I'm talking about in the very moment, like they run into the first crawler. Like she's killed very fast.
Yeah, he literally rips her throat out. She
Yeah,
dies
Throw it
instantly.
out, and it's like, oh fuck, and like so, like right there, like I guess it's like what's the word? Because One Piece does this shit a lot, where it's like, oh, this is the guy who gets crushed to make the bad guy look worse or whatever. There's a term for it, but I just don't know it off the top
I
of my
think
head.
it's like a wrestling term or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like it's jobbers to get crushed, and like these people are
That's
just
the
like,
one.
But like I feel like there's a different term for it. But that's the idea: is that like you get a person, you get them killed instantly to establish that these things are a problem. One
But
Piece.
also establish that they are mortal. That this is not some vampire fucking super special thing. These are just things that live here, and you're on their turf.
Yeah.
It's not that they're invincible. It's just they have the advantage, and they're fucking coming for you.
Mhm.
It just keeps it all grounded in a way that I appreciate.
But yeah. Anybody else got anything else to say?
Well, you did want to do your little waifu rating.
I did. So
Oh God,
who's best girl? I say Juno.
I was
Juno,
going.
easy.
I hate
She's
the
so
fact
hot.
that
I'm sorry.
yeah,
She's way hotter than every other girl in the fucking movie. And
Nah, fuck that.
Also,
Alright,
she's just she plays a badass really well.
yeah,
I'm gonna go with Beth.
Beth. Which one is the
She's the
teacher?
one who got the
Axe.
extreme hickey.
She's okay. I also really like the doctor lady. She's also pretty hot. But I
So
don't know. Dude.
so
Maybe it's because it's the contrast. She's the only brown person there, so that like gives her like
It's-
that gives her advantage on charisma.
Brown-ish.
Brownish.
so
yeah, because she's
Beth,
still-
not Beth, Juno, and then Holly. I have a thing for Irish chicks.
Holly was
Gross.
Holly was
But
too.
she's such an obnoxious twat, though.
Yeah.
No, if I'm just I'm basing
was gonna say,
this
she's
just off
also-
of appearance and
What?
the voice. Like I said, the
Why?
Irish
Don't
accent.
lie. It's fucking Juno and then fucking Dweller number 1.
Get out of my head
I
first
don't know.
off.
I don't know. I'd take Holly over any of those fucking things.
He liked the one with the titties. Okay.
Oh god, no, fuck.
No, that's just based off like like I like autistic details like that. Like one of my favorite scenes in Aliens is literally the scene where they're talking about like, oh, these things have to reproduce somehow.
Oh yeah, whatever. But yeah, anyway, so best girl's Juno confirmed. Where would after like all the little nitpicking and like a little bit more major things we talked about, how would you rate this objectively?
I would. So is this? I almost with the jump scares and its soundtrack and its shaky cam. Does that almost date this movie? I almost wanted to make that a point.
A little bit.
Speaking of soundtrack, did anyone else hear like legit The Thing music?
I heard that as well. I was like, the second they
Not
missed
surprised.
Trusty, like the after the conversation,
Like
like,
the
did you see
dum-dum.
her die? It's the fucking opening theme that bum, 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 and I'm just like, what the fuck?
I
That's the
kept
thing.
hearing it like in the background like a lot. I was like, damn, I didn't
was
notice
just
that
like,
on the first
I was just like,
viewing.
what the fuck's going
usually-
on?
I usually have an autistic fucking ear for this kind of shit, but I'm not familiar with the Thing soundtrack, unfortunately.
You know what? I
'Cause you've only seen
didn't
it
place it
once.
to the thing or anything specific, but I did feel like the soundtrack was just reminiscent of much more classic horror movies. Like the soundtrack was much older in how it felt than the rest
I
of the
mean,
movie.
I'm gonna guess it's probably a budgeting thing. I don't think this movie had like a massive budget.
Mhm.
Oh god.
Well,
I don't
oh
know.
wait,
Here's
wait,
the thing.
wait, wait,
Brooks
wait,
looked
wait,
at
wait,
the
wait.
production about it.
I
None of those caves are real. Those were all built.
Yeah, I actually have one of my favorite things about this movie, production-wise, is the fact that like they had to sign waivers on the fact that they could only use natural lights for a good number of scenes. So it was the flashlight, the torch, the glow
Yeah.
sticks.
Like I strongly recommend checking out that EFAB now that we actually watched the movie, because like it was really cool to hear the guy, because like obviously all the EFAB minis are just them
And
fucking
then-
shit posting and shitting around, but like with Neil Marshall actually there, like he like provided like an actual commentary for the movie, which I thought was really
Afterwards, I recommend watching YMS's review of The Descent 2 because that's where I
oh,
got
God. I haven't
that's
seen
where
it.
that's where I
Nice.
got all the that's where I got the details on like the production. Like I
That's
knew
cool.
this. I was the one who showed Slur the movie first.
I
I
haven't seen
was
I haven't seen Descent 2, so I don't have any
no,
point of
don't.
reference.
It's an awful sequel.
Is that where the scream came from? Because I was expecting the
Yes.
scream to happen.
No, yeah,
and-
that shot is from the sequel where they're like, we gotta let this person escape. Ah!
Uh, so
And also,
I
like
I
Juno
noticed because I was
survived.
looking.
Hold on,
I was looking up. I
I'll
was looking up the. Here's the thing. Yeah, I was looking up the like the thing for about the chick who played Juno, and then I noticed the credit that like made me cringe. She's in Descent too.
yeah, because
as Juno.
and the reasoning of the
That's what I was
directors, the reasoning of the directors was that because we didn't like see her die,
Bull.
Yeah, she's got a
Yeah.
peg leg, but it's actually just a climbing
And-
axe, and now she
and
uses
then-
it to kick fight.
and
To
then
kill like 40 of them.
hold
Fuck
on.
off. Like,
And the thing is, they were gonna make a Descent 3, and they were gonna use the exact same logic for Sarah.
oh my god, fuck off.
Like we just
Whatever.
hear the scream. We don't see her die, and it's just like, what do you mean?
What in the Game of Thrones season 8 are you fucking smoking, dog? I'm like, what the fuck, dude? It is
So,
not, well,
I think with the sheer amount of like jump scares, and there definitely are some issues. I think I'm comfortable putting this right at about a 6. Like I think it is better than average,
I
but
was,
it does have some issues.
yeah, I'm fine with a 6, and my reasoning was actually going to be how, like the jump scares and how, especially the ending. We forgot
Oh, we didn't even touch the ending.
Okay, so that's another fucking thing we actually need to touch. There are technically 2 endings to this movie: the original and the American release. Everyone is most people are probably familiar with the American release. Not many people would probably be familiar with the original intended ending. So, the American release is the ending where she gets out of the cave, she gets into the car, she drives away, and she's basically free. The European ending, or the original ending, has her basically failed to get out of the cave, but well, actually, Wyatt, could you explain it a little bit better? Since I haven't
Okay,
actually
so
seen the
here,
original
like
ending.
how the alternate ending or the original ending goes is that like we have this moment where she gets out of the cave. It's almost the same, except it doesn't have that scene where she vomits and then Juno's in the passenger seat. It instead cuts back to the cave, and it's just like, no, she never left. She's stuck there. And I love that ending because I just really like dark and depressing shit. And yeah, she didn't fucking leave. Like, fuck. That's why I was going to say this movie is very dated to me, at least, because like the only of since I don't watch more horror movies like as
Horror movies.
hotter more movies.
I
I don't watch
movie.
I don't watch horror movies as much as Ninja does. So the only ones that I've seen
Cowards.
of that time period have always kind of had that shitty ending where it's just like that jump scare at the last possible fucking second, and I hated
Really
that.
is just a new incarnation of the incredibly cliche "the end?" Question mark?
Yeah,
Whoa,
that's
Like,
prequel.
fuck all of the way
Juno
off.
survived.
yeah. That's why
See,
I hate the original ending on that alone.
I could have sworn the ending that I saw was that she does get out of the cave. Like it has the whole scene with her in the car and she's driving away. But it was just basically that without the Juno shit. Like I
See,
don't
and
remember
that's
the
the ending
Juno
I
jump
want.
scare.
Yeah, that's the. I had to show both of you guys
Just
via
freaking out.
YouTube.
But it doesn't have her go back to the cave. Like she did legitimately get out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See, the ending we saw, the American one, I actually think it's perfectly fine right up until literally the last second when they completely fucking cheapen it with a random
Oh, I didn't
nonsense
realize you
bullshit jump
left.
scare that just reeks of
Of course,
fucking what the fuck?
Sorry.
What?
sorry. Go continue. Sorry. Really sorry.
Yeah, the last fucking second where they just throw in fucking spooky Juno as like a big sound to make you jump. It is so fucking cheap. It is the worst of jump scares and is a perfect example of why we're so fucking
Well,
itchy about them, why we don't like them in general,
and
even
why
if
do
they're
they
all
make
right.
her look like the fucking ring
I
bitch?
don't
Yeah,
Because
know.
they
I
I
wanted
think
her to be spooky. That's literally all it
yeah,
fucking was. It is
that's it.
so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
if you
why
just have that ending and you cut off literally 3 seconds, you've got a better movie almost.
it.
Because you
Oh,
get out, you get the frantic driving out onto the road, and as soon as she's like a distance away, like frantically checking the wing mirror to see how far into the distance the mountain is,
yeah.
she just pulls over onto the side of the road and she just breaks down. And then you see it on the outside of the car as it zooms a little ways out. You can still hear her from inside the car just fucking going through it. If it just cut to black right then and there, perfect ending.
Yeah.
With the picture of them in
Yeah,
at the
that's
cabin.
fine.
Yeah.
You can go straight from that to the picture. I do want to point out, regardless of the ending, like it seemed like such a small detail, but the way that she kind of interacts with the car, like as she's getting out of the cave, just all of that is just perfect.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah,
it's
she
so
down there
well
and
done.
braces the thing. It's
And I
amazing.
actually
Yeah.
I love the when the second her hand breaches that little hole and the brightness and the saturation are all off. That's because we, even as the audience, we've been in the dark the whole time. I love most of that ending
Well,
except that fucking jump scare.
especially with horror movies, you don't often get to really see the survivor like kind of have that moment where they recognize they made it, but they're still very, very like fucked up because she's still kind of in the situation. If like she's not safe yet, even though she's literally touching the car, she's like, I'm not far enough away.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
She has to keep going.
I really appreciate like the fucking like just I gotta get the fuck away from that shit. Like it's
Yeah, and then the minute she gets, to the actual road, and she just kind of pulls over, and I also think it's a small gripe. I really didn't like the fucking truck.
Yeah, I didn't
It
like the
felt
truck either.
unnecessary. It was just another jump scare.
It's kind of why I like in the beginning of the movie, I didn't like how they killed the child and the husband. They just Final Destination to them.
Well, but I mean that's kind of important in terms of like character setup because it's kind of
Mhm.
core to the whole storyline. But
and it's
Yeah,
actually
that it
quite,
was so sudden, freak, tragic
Okay,
accident, and she's just left to live and pick up the
yeah, that's
pieces of her
fair.
life after that happened to her. That's like the core of why she's so fucky as a character.
and I was
yeah,
gonna
Why
say
and
she's like on
also,
edge and anxious before they even go in the hole.
and
Yeah,
it
and
also kind of it's also like it's set up too because
oh,
like
I just
he
realized
makes
the. Go ahead.
I was gonna say he's like like the reason why he looks away from her or looks away from the road is because she asks, "Is everything okay?" And he basically lies to her face. So like there is like a psychological reason why he's like not focused on the road, just because he's like fucked up mentally about it. Like he realizes that he's basically cheating on her. So like
well, and
there's a lot of
fuck, man,
setup into that fucking like death.
that line that Juno gives later that gives you the willies, where she's like, "We all lost something in that crash." It's like,
Hmm.
mm.
Well,
That's
because
what.
like that's also set up very early too, when she's when like she gets pushed into the water, right? And so he helps her out of the water, and like it's a quick cut, but like there's a moment
Yeah,
where like he's kind of just like lingering on her, and it's like, well, what's going on there, bud? It's like, yeah, it's
Apparently, we know what's going on there now.
you know, what's going
Love
on.
each day.
He picked the right wife. It was just saying.
Oh no.
Oh no. He's like, I'd rather have a fucking rod shoved through my head than deal with another dick.
Wait, so hold on. Are we gonna do the super misogynistic read of this movie where in the end she only fucking climbing axes Juno in the leg because she's jealous of a prettier woman?
Uh,
Yeah,
I
we'll
was gonna
go with
say,
that.
yeah, that's because they cut to literally to the
I mean,
necklace that the husband gave her.
she probably would have like tried to go and ice pick the husband, but he's already gone.
Yeah, he's already
So
gone, so you can't really do anything with that.
yeah.
She would have.
Mm,
But I guess
so
if
the
you
real
think about it,
monster.
The real monster.
it's a betrayal on both parts. You know, like he was betraying
Oh
her,
yeah.
and so was Juno. So
And it's a weirdly kind of tragic thing because it's like it's not entirely Juno's fault. All of the shit that's going on in the cave. I mean, it kind of is, but like what happened with Beth was an accident, and obviously she cheated on her and didn't really talk to her about it. But like the death almost doesn't. It's weird to say this. It feels justified in the sense from Sarah's eyes. It does kind of like have this like lingering like you said, kind of like darkness to it. It's like, ooh, like is that the proper thing to do? You know
Well,
what I
yeah,
mean?
and this is the thing. So she has her own reasons for doing that, and kind of at this point in the movie seen all this from Juno's side, where even when she does things that are explicitly fucked up, like send them into the wrong cave, she always does kind of have her reasons, and that's the thing. She's semi-antagonistic, but she's also like understandable,
Mhm.
which goes back to the thing I was saying earlier. It's all very grounded. They make sure that you actually understand them as people, not just as fucking stock archetypes.
Yeah.
Like Juno is a fully fleshed out character, even though she is very obviously extremely fucking flawed.
Mm. So yeah, like I said, that's like pretty much like the last bit. We talked about the ending, my personal feeling on it. Like I said, I don't blame Sarah for acting the way she was, and there's literally not enough time for talk no jutsu. But like yeah, it has that lingering bit of like ooh, like was that like 100% okay? And
Mm.
I feel like the answer is pretty like it's pretty cool like sitting in the murky
well,
darkness of it. You
I
know what I mean?
mean, realistically, she didn't kill her. She had the opportunity to,
Eh,
but she.
Don't do that.
No,
hey,
like
what she did was almost
Don't do
worse,
that.
honestly.
we
Yeah.
didn't see the body.
Shut
No, it's not
fuck
even that.
up.
She literally could have she could have done the same thing to Juno that Juno did to Beth. You know, she could have put the fucking pickaxe right through her neck,
Yeah,
but she
But
didn't.
at
She
that
put it through
point,
her
yeah.
knee.
I don't know. I feel
Yeah,
like the
because she'd
horror.
awakened her warrior woman and just like, you know what? I'm gonna do even worse. I'm gonna let you suffer and go out being eaten alive, bitch. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
You took my man. You took my Beth. Fuck off.
Yeah, you took my friend. Because if you think about it, like throughout the movie, even during the like what it's they're calling boring parts, a lot of the quality interactions with Sarah were with Beth. Like she's the one who helped her get unstuck from the thing. So
Yeah.
it's like you could tell that Beth really was trying to kind of have her back and look out for her. So it's like you took my friend,
Hmm.
you took
Well,
my
I'm
fucking
pretty sure
husband.
Beth was Sarah's sister.
Was she?
What? No,
What?
she was literally English.
What?
She had a massive like
I
English
oh
accent
wait
too.
no I fuck you're right
Did
Sam
you
and
just make that up on the spot?
no
He
no
totally did, son of a bitch.
I got confused for a moment.
I think he's struggling doing the multitasking thing. But anyway, I'm fucking with you,
I
Wyatt.
mean, they all loved each other like sisters, but I don't think that's the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can
Uh,
like even if they do things that are explicitly fucked up, like in Juno's case, or vindictive in Sarah's case at the very end. It's like you absolutely understand how they arrived at that place in this incredibly fucked situation. That is a little bit Juno's fault.
it's a little, yeah, like as I say, like just the act of being in the fucking cave is Juno's fault. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
Yep.
that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't think that it was like I don't think it was 100% like right.
The fact
But
that Beth
I do understand that it was just like it was justified to Sarah.
the fact that Juno didn't even like try to cover her tracks that well of like oh we could discover this whole thing and then like didn't even talk to the like she didn't keep the lie up to the point where she could have told the emergency people that they're gonna explore a new system like and
Well, we
then just
covered
lied
that.
to the and then just lied to the and then just lied to the girls like she
Yeah,
lied to everyone.
yeah, we covered that. Like she fucked up hardcore, and that's why
Yeah.
they're in the death cave. But yeah,
Yeah.
She's also panicking, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally she's in a life or death situation. She feels
Mhm.
bad about killing Beth. Like, that was unintentional.
Yeah.
But the idea is she was just, it was kind of a, I'm going to use the convenience of this horribly fucked up situation we're in to blame her death on them instead of owning up to what I did, because what I did was fucking terrible.
yeah, like,
Right.
and that's the thing. It's like that's believable that she would do that too. Like, you know, what I mean, she doesn't want to shoulder the responsibility of like killing somebody, even though she totally did. Like, it's something that's like very human to like lie about. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So yeah, overall thoughts, ratings. Wyatt, we'll start with you since we're back to this point.
Ninja and I are pretty much in agreement that it's a 6.
6. Okay, Slur. What do you say?
There's flaws, there's problems. We've gone through them all, but I still think that the things the movie does well, it does really fucking well, and I do think that lifts it up to like at least a 7.
I was actually gonna. Slur, you took the fucking words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say a 7 as well,
All right, so average out to 6.5.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say I'm fine with the 6.5.
which is like fucking far better than most of the fucking things in this category.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of horror, sadly, is absolutely
Yeah, that's
trash.
Trash.
that's maybe that may be why I just never casually watched horror as much as you, because I like it seems like such an easy genre to fuck up, and it's like,
Well, it's a very simple, straightforward genre. It's not that it's so easy to fuck up. It's just that a lot of people just don't try. They don't really see it as like a value. It's kind of looked down as it's a cheap. Their budgets are usually shoestring, but they tend to be profitable, which is why they keep getting made. Because, you know, if you have a movie that only takes like 10 or 20 million to make, it doesn't have to do gangbusters at the box office for you to churn a profit.
Well, that was who's that guy? Blumhouse. Who's Blum? What's his name?
oh, I don't know anything.
Yeah, I fucking
related to
forget
the-
his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, YMS has a really good video about like his Blumhouse movies, but like the idea is that he puts dirt fucking nothing into these horror movies. Like Paranormal Activity's budget was like $1 million or some like insane
Yeah.
number, and fucking look what that movie did. And so
And
that was
Saw 1 was 8 million.
yeah, and oh my god, that's a fucking that's like
How much
that's
is
the-
Saw 10?
that is the fucking
Probably a
fast,
little bit more.
I don't
that is the
I
fast-
don't want to
probably.
talk.
that is the Fast and the Furious of the horror genre.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
honestly, even recently, the Terrifier, you know, just got a sequel, and it had a shoestring budget, and now they're talking about the third one is going to have like a budget of 25 million.
mm-hmm.
But like the first two had next to nothing, and they have been massively popular and massively successful. So
And I guess like to talk about like genre in general, like the reason why it seems like so like I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. It's like if you ever want to take a girl out to a movie, take her to a horror movie.
oh,
Yeah, I've
absolutely.
heard
Oh
that.
yeah,
Because
bitches
like
love horror.
yeah, bitches love horror, and like if she gets scared and you're sitting right next to her, guess what happens? Like boom, you get like contact. Like,
Yeah, that's why you take bitches to haunted houses during Halloween.
exactly.
Yeah, because you're not scared, but they're scared, and it's great.
And it's like boom.
Yeah, so you can jump into their arms and they can cradle you and comfort you.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
my-
what Max be doing.
That's- oh, Matt, fuck you. Uh,
I was going to say Max would leave his date behind. He,
no,
But
have you seen
at
that-
the
have you
at
seen
the
that
front
video?
at the
Pushes her forward and runs away.
Have
No.
you seen that video?
Yes, I
There's a
have. That's what I'm
there's a
quoting.
video of a guy, there's a video of a guy and a girl walk through a horror thing, and the guy like lunges at them with an axe, and he goes and runs away, and like he leaves her behind, and
the
like
killer gives
she like looks at the killer, and the killer looks at her, like the killer just like shrugs. He's like, "I'm sorry to tell you that," and she just like, and he jokingly offers her his axe. She snatches it and then like puts her hair in a ponytail and runs after the guy. It's a pretty fucking funny thing. But yeah, no. Like I said, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of like a action movie thing where it's like, yeah, you don't have to try that hard to like get like a success story kind of deal.
And
At
I
least
was about
that's
to.
at least
I
that's
was,
how it was viewed.
I was going to say, man, I just showed my media diet for a good second one in because I was thinking like 25 million. That's nothing, and it's like, wait a minute.
That's a lot of fucking
I was-
money.
That's
I
a
was-
lot of fucking money.
I
bro.
I was going to say, and I was but I was just like, wait a minute. That's because like the last few movies I've watched are have like budgets of like
$1 billion
300 million.
projects, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
I'm like, oh
literally
shit.
Like you could probably buy a fucking couple countries with the fucking budget of the last couple movies we watched.
Yeah, that's why I was just like, oh wait a minute.
And that's why, you know, when you do find good horror, it usually is very creative. It usually, you know, uses its budget very well. So it's like, unfortunately, it's one of those genres where it's like there's a lot of shit, but when you find a good one, it's a banger.
Yeah, and
You
like
know?
all the
And
like I
there's
said, all the problems
also
I have with this movie subjectively, like as much as I hate horror, I actually subjectively really like the movie.
And there's also just a lot instances of, even if it's fantastic, there's just where at the time it might just not do any good. Like John Carpenter is famous for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure John Carpenter was terrible, dude.
Maybe. But anyway, that's a discussion for another video, and unfortunately, this is where we're gonna probably end this one. So yeah, thank you for guys for joining us for The Descent.
Jog on.
Bye bye.